Hey everyone, it's John. It is Dry Fire Monday, Mantis Monday, and I have something for you that I talk about in the narrated videos all the time. And that is holding things in your hands and getting rid of those things when it's time to get your hands on the gun and go. So let's work on that this week in our Dry Fire. So one of the things that I see pretty commonly is I see people that they have to go draw a gun, and usually if they have something in their support hand, I had things in both hands, so I'm going to put these keys away for just a second. But they have something in their support hand and they're talking on the phone or whatever. The reason that I have just the phone case is because I'm using my phone to record this. Okay, so they have their phone up to their ear or whatever, or we saw one recently in an officer-involved incident. He had a ticket writing device that was about the size of a phone. And when it comes time to go, what we see is they're going to go get their gun and then hold on to this thing while they try to go and do their work. Well, of course, I can't really get a good two-handed grip on the gun with something in my hand. By the way, it's Dry Fire, so you can see Benvolio got a mag block, got a barrel block in it, so I have no live rounds. So this week I've staged the Dry Fire Dojo to have a little bit of a place to put some things. So I've used this chair, and I'm going to pull this chair over here just so you can see it. And all I do with that chair, it just gives me a place where I don't have to bend over so far to pick everything up, and I can get things faster and get things restaged faster. So what I do here is I use this chair, kind of pull it up to where I'm going to be, and then when it comes time, here's all I'm going to do. Whatever is in my hands when I decide to go, I'm just going to purposefully drop this. I don't have to fling it. I don't have to throw it at the bad guy. I know some people talk about that stuff. I personally think that's a little overly dramatic. Not sure that's going to be useful, because a lot of times they're not in a close range or whatever, it's not going to help you. So just getting it out of your hands is what we're really after. So this is what we want to do. So here I am again. I'm going to, I can see my targets, whatever. I'm just going to take my time at the beginning. Then on my signal, whatever that may be, I'm going to drop what's in my hand, go get my gun, get a good dry fire press. Now I got two sight pictures. Everything looks good. Reset my trigger, safely and carefully reholster and reset everything. And now because I put this chair here, I can just reach over and grab this, my cell phone or whatever it is. Now, you may not want to take the case off your cell phone, so you could use something like an empty cardboard box from ammo, or really anything that you don't mind dropping. I mean, it's not really important what's in your hand. What's important is that you get it out of your hand in order to go. Now, what I see a lot of times here is I see people, if they have something in their strong hand because they know they're going to have to go get their gun, a lot of times they will actually drop what's in their strong hand, right? So it's pretty common that if I see them go, oh, I had something in my strong hand because I'm talking on the phone or whatever, which for me is my left hand, my gun hand. And so then they go, oh, I need a gun, so they drop it and they go do their thing, right? So that's pretty common. But in the support hand, I don't see that nearly as much. So when I tell people to practice, if they're only going to do one hand, I really recommend that you do the support hand. Now we could go get the keys as well, and so then that way, you could get the keys, or you could get a bag of groceries. I think this is great if you got a couple of, grocery bags that you take in with you all the time. Just have something in your hands. Both hands, I just don't happen to have one today, but you could get creative. I mean, I wouldn't do something that's going to break your foot, don't hold on to a kettlebell or something so you bonk yourself, but if you were to have some grocery bags, that's a great way to do this. Anything really, so that I'm just holding things in my hand. And then when that time comes, if my hands are up or my hands are down, that when I go, oh, okay, it's time to go get the gun, get the shot that I need, and then safely put the gun away. And now, because I've staged my chair, I can just go and pick these up again. Now, of course, if you want to add a little bit of time pressure, you're just going, hey, I really want to get after it. Well, of course, you can use your par timer like I do here. You got a competition timer. Or, of course, the best way to do it is to put your Mantis unit on your gun, use the magazine adapter, and then use the compressed surprise break function to then, draw to first shot and just run it with something in your hand. I don't have the magazine adapter on my P30. I just don't have one. They don't make one for my regular P30 mags. It just is what it is. So, but let's try a couple here. We have the par timer set at 1.5 seconds. This is what I've been working at, which is pretty typical for me. I'm not telling you that's your standard right now. Just telling you that's where I'm working. So let's see how having something in my support hand messes with me. Because what it'll do is that if I'm up here, I have to let that go to go get my cover garment like we've been working on. So let's see what it does. I wonder if I can still get my part time. All right. right there, I think I got it. I think that my grip wasn't exactly what I wanted on the gun, but I was still in the same time. So it's safely holstered. So you can work that as well. You can work anything that you want out of your hands, and you can work anything that you want to let it go. Put something in your spot. I've seen people do this dry fire, you know, on their master bed, right? So if you just bump up to your master bedroom here, and you know, you're bumped up against the bed, you drop it, you go get whatever it is, two-handed grip on the gun, and go. So if we're going to build on what happened in weeks previous, remember we've been working on draw to first shot. We were working on that first shot out of the holster at speed, working down from the 5 to the 2 speed. And then we were working on a two-handed grip. So we were working from our hands out and then driving the gun out. Really good grip on the gun last week and going from here. So now all we're doing is that we're putting all those together, and we're doing so in a way that we have to get something out of our hand. Now I will say this. Those of us who work on a general two-handed draw, like, you know, if you're out of appendix carry, and for most fights, a two-handed draw is okay. The only time you're generally going to have a one-handed draw is if you're like holding a baby, you know, you're shielding a loved one, or you're entangled with somebody. So I don't mind a two-handed draw, because if I'm going to take, you know, if I'm going to grab a hold of my cover garment, that'll make me get rid of whatever's in my hand. But I see people not do that all the time. And if you carry strong side, what a lot of people do is they get that one-handed grip. You know, they use their thumb, drive down to the gun and drive the gun up rather than come over this way. And if that's you and that's what you're doing, you really, 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 really need to work on getting whatever is in your support hand out of it so that you can get a two-handed grip on the gun. So this is what we're working on this week. 200 dry fire presses, getting whatever it is in your hands out of your hands so that you can do a good job. You don't have to go time-wise on this, but you can use the timer to add a little stress and make things go. But 200 reps, this is what we want to see. Whenever we decide we're going to go, hey man, I don't want any problems, or gosh man, my hands are at my side, I've got my grocery bags or whatever, and if I'm up here, it goes, let it go, get the gun, drive the gun, good grip, good side picture, good press, reset the trigger, rock and roll. And again, man, I think that'll make you a much better shooter. Have a great week this week, everyone.